kunja bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana. Chamunatira vanachari. Chamunatira vanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana. Chamunatira vanachari. Chamunatira vanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Panchatattva 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 Jaya Panchatattva Jai Jai Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jai ISKCON Foundation Srila Prabhupada ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Samveta Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki Gaur Premanandi Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. This morning we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 15, Description of the Kingdom of God, Text 1. Maitreya uvāca prājāpatyam tu tat tejaḥ prājāpatyam tu tat tejaḥ prājāpatyam tu tat tejaḥ para-tejo-hanaṁ ditiḥ para-tejo-hanaṁ ditiḥ para-tejo-hanaṁ ditiḥ dadhāra varṣāṇi śatam dadhāra varṣāṇi śatam dadhāra varṣāṇi śatam śaṅkamānā surārdanāt śaṅkamānā surārdanāt śaṅkamānā surārdanāt Maitreya uvāca prājāpatyam tu tat tejaḥ para-tejo-hanaṁ ditiḥ dadhāra varṣāṇi śatam śaṅkamānā surārdanāt maitreya uvāca prājāpatyam tu tat-tejaḥ para-tejo-hanaṁ ditiḥ dadhāra varṣāṇi śatam śaṅkamānā surārdanāt maitreya uvāca prājāpatyam tu tat-tejaḥ para-tejo-hanaṁ ditiḥ dadhāra varṣāṇi śatam śaṅkamānā surārdanāt. Maitreya uvāca prājāpatyam tu tat-tejaḥ para-tejo-hanaṁ ditiḥ dadhāra varṣāṇi śatam śaṅkamānā surārdanāt. Maitreya uvāca prājāpatyam tu tat-tejaḥ para-tejo-hanaṁ ditiḥ dadhāra varṣāṇi śatam śaṅkamānā surārdanāt. Someone else? Maitreya uvāca prājāpatyam tu tat-tejaḥ para-tejo-hanaṁ ditiḥ dadhāra varṣāṇi śatam śaṅkamānā surārdanāt. Mataji's? Maitreya uvāca prājāpatyam tu tat-tejaḥ para-tejo-hanaṁ ditiḥ dadhāra varṣāṇi śatam śaṅkamānā surārdanāt. Maitreya uvāca. The sage Maitreya said, Prajāpatyam, of the great Prajāpati, tu, but, tat-tejaḥ, his powerful semen, para-tejaḥ, others' prowess, hanam, troubling, ditiḥ, Diti, Kaśyapa's wife, dadhāra, bore, varṣāṇi, years, śatam, 100, śaṅkamānā, being doubtful, sura-ardanāt, disturbing to the demigods. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Śrī Maitreya said, "My dear Vidura, Diti, the wife of the sage Kaśyapa, could understand that the sons within her womb would be a cause of disturbance to the demigods. As such, she continuously bore the powerful semen of Kaśyapa Muni, which was meant to give trouble to others for 100 years. Please repeat. Śrī Maitreya said, "My dear Vidura, Diti, the wife of the sage Kaśyapa, could understand that the sons within her womb would be a cause of disturbance to the demigods. As such, she continuously bore the powerful semen of Kaśyapa Muni, which was meant to give trouble to others for 100 years. Purport. The great sage Śrī Maitreya was explaining to Vidura the activities of the demigods, including Lord Brahmā. When Diti heard from her husband that the sons she bore within her abdomen would be causes of disturbance to the demigods, she was not very happy. There are two classes of men, devotees and non-devotees. Non-devotees are called demons, and devotees are called demigods. No sane man or woman can tolerate the non-devotees giving trouble to devotees. Diti, therefore, was reluctant to give birth to her babies. She waited for 100 years, so that at least she could save the demigods from the disturbance for that period. Maitreya uvāca prājāpatyam para-tejaḥ para-tejo-hanaṁ ditiḥ dadhāra varṣāṇi śatam śaṅkamānā surārdanāt. Śrī Maitreya said, "My dear Vidura, Diti, the wife of the sage Kaśyapa, could understand that the sons within her womb would be a cause of disturbance to the demigods. As such, she continuously bore the powerful semen of Kaśyapa Muni, which is meant to give trouble to others for 100 years. Chapter 15, Description of the Kingdom of God, Text 1. So today is April the 1st, and we're also reading the first verse of the new chapter. So for last several chapters, several weeks, maybe almost 2 months, we've been going through this section of Srimad Bhagavatam, wherein Diti and Kaśyapa, the activities of Diti and Kaśyapa are being described, leading up to the birth of Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, and continuing on with the cursing of Jaya and Vijay, and then appearance of Lord Varahadev. So all these subjects are being discussed in this section of the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, having attended many of the classes, the common theme was the mistake made by Diti, which was described in great detail in the previous chapter and by previous speakers, where her motivation for her actions was ill intent. She was not motivated by pure intentions. So Kaśyapa Muni is one of the great original sages, one of the great progenitors. And he had many wives. It's described, I think, 21 wives he had. 13 of them were daughters of Prajāpati Daksha. So he married 13 sisters, Aditi, Diti, Kadru, Vineta, so on. And Diti was feeling jealous that her sisters, other sisters, her co-wives, makes it even more complicated relationship. They were sisters and co-wives of Kaśyapa Muni. And the other sisters, they all had children, and she was feeling left out. She also had a very strong desire to become a mother. Of course, this is a very natural desire, and there's nothing wrong, no negativity, nothing inauspicious for a married woman to want to have a child. It's a very natural and positive step, actually. But she was so much motivated by jealousy and by lust that she approached her husband at the inauspicious time. And as we've heard before, therefore the union was inauspicious. It was at the evening when Lord Shiva and the ghostly creatures are roaming around, and that's the time for sadhana, for spiritual activity. That's what Kaśyapa Muni was doing. He was doing his Sandhya Vandanam, Gayatri, his worship. And at that state, very distressed agitated by lust and jealousy, Diti approached him for a child. So Srimad Bhagavatam is showing us how not to approach this business of procreation. This is very relevant for those of us in the Grihastha community, how one should actually plan to conceive a child and what kind of child one should conceive. So this topic actually is very dear to me personally, because in my services in Mayapur Academy, and for the last 17 years or so, we've been teaching this subject actually about samskaras. And of all the samskaras, the Garbhadhana-samskara is the most important one, in the sense that it gives a foundation, what kind of soul will be attracted to a particular family. It's not simply a matter of chance. As Vaishnavas, we know that everything is happening under the direction of the Supreme Lord and according to one's karma, so there is no such thing as chance. There can be causeless mercy, but mundane chance is not something that, as devotees, we put much faith in. Therefore, in Srimad Bhagavatam, later on in this third canto, when Kaśyapa Muni is describing the growth of the embryo in the womb to his mother Devahuti, he starts off by saying, Karmana daiva netrena jantur dehopapattaye straya pravishta udaram pumsareta kanashrayaha. So how a particular living entity is attracted to a particular family is not random. It's karmana, by one's karma, and daiva netrena, by the divine superintendence of the Lord. How the particular living entity enters the particle of semen and then enters the womb of the mother, what kind of soul that will be is according to the karma, according to the direction of the Lord of material nature. So there's a very great science of Garbhadhana-samskara, how you can attract a particular kind of soul into your family. And this section of Bhagavatam is teaching us that if you don't follow the prescribed method, then you get a very bad result. So here Diti, she realizes this. And you can see Diti going through different emotions in this story. Originally she's motivated by jealousy, lust, passion, and after the act is performed, then she's repentant and seeking forgiveness and remedy. She wants some atonement, how to remedy the situation. And she gets pacified. Kaśyapa Muni, he pacifies her to some extent by saying that although your sons will be great demons, your grandson will be a great Vaishnava, and your sons will also be killed by the Lord, which is all auspicious. So she's quite pacified. In fact, in yesterday's verse, it says she's very pleased in mind, hearing that her sons would be killed by Krishna and that her grandson would be a great devotee. So she's going through a whole gamut of emotions. And now here, she's exhibiting great tolerance. It says that she keeps the sons within her womb for 100 years. So those ladies here who have experienced pregnancy, you'll know it's not the most comfortable feeling. There are many things go topsy-turvy in the woman's body when she's pregnant. So 9 months is plenty enough time for the embryo to develop and to come out at the time of birth. But Diti here, she's trying to delay the inauspicious result of her activity, of her wrong intercourse. And therefore she is bearing that powerful semen, powerful twins. Having twins, of course, is even more uncomfortable because there are 2 children inside the womb. So despite that, she's exhibiting great tolerance and forbearance here to delay the birth by 100 celestial years. So that's to her great credit, actually, that she knew that the result of this, the children born are going to be very inauspicious, very demoniac. She was already warned, that was predicted by Kaśyapa Muni. She was warned of that. And therefore, she's trying to delay the inevitable. Prabhupada says here, she was reluctant to give birth to her babies. She waited for 100 years so that at least she could save the demigods from the disturbance for that period. So it's a very noble act of hers, actually, to do that. And I'm sure it was very uncomfortable. And actually, in the next verses from tomorrow, we'll hear about how the whole universe was disturbed even before Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha were born. Just the force of the pregnancy was such that the whole universe started becoming dark. It's quite extraordinary to imagine. We know later on Hiranyakashipu performed austerities, and by the force of his austerities there was fire coming from his head. The whole universe became heated up, and everyone was burning up by the power of his austerities. But even before these demons were born, even from within the womb where they're actually covered and concealed, even then, the whole universe was being disturbed. That's how much power they exhibited. So to her credit, Diti is trying to delay this inauspicious birth. In the Shastras it said, Ramayana, Shubhasya Shigram. This is a common saying. If something's auspicious, it should be done immediately. And Prabhupada also quoted this phrase. And if something's inauspicious, you should try to delay it for as long as possible. This is actually from Ramayana, from Ravana himself. When Ravana was dying, he gave this instruction. If something auspicious should be done immediately, and inauspicious things should be postponed as long as possible. So following that principle, Diti is trying to delay this inauspicious birth of these two great demons. And we'll be hearing more about that in the upcoming chapters. Of course, later on in Śrīmad Bhagavatam, we hear more about Diti. And there's another whole chapter called the Pumsavana Ritualistic Ceremony, later on in the 6th canto, chapter 19. So Diti, she's going to give birth to Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, and she's going to watch how they destroy the balance of the universe, how they drive out the demigods, enslave everybody, throw the earth into the ocean. Hiranyakashipu becomes so powerful that except for Lord Brahmā, Lord Shiva, and Lord Vishnu, everyone is under his control. We hear about that in detail in the 7th canto. But later on, when Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha are killed, then we see Diti comes back into focus. And she's full of rage once again. Her lower qualities are manifest, and she gets very angry against Indra. Of course, Lord Vishnu is the one who has killed her sons. As Varaha, he killed Hiranyaksha. As Nrsingadev, he killed Hiranyakashipu. But Vishnu is beyond reproach, You can't attack Lord Vishnu. That's like too much of a target for her. But she knows that actually Indra is behind this. To save the demigods, especially Indra, who's the king of the demigods, that's why Lord Vishnu has killed these great demons. So she focuses her revenge on Indra. And it's a very complicated situation because Indra is her nephew, right? Not just nephew. Nephew, her sister's son, and same father. So it's even closer than nephew because the father is the same. Her husband's son and her sister's son. And this is some of the complications in polygamy, and this is why it's not recommended, especially in Kali Yuga. And sometimes I try to imagine how Kaśyapa Muni is dealing with this. He has on one side Diti, who is the mother of all the demons, his wife. And on the other side he has Aditi, who is the mother of all the demigods. And the children of each of his wives, his one group of sons, are eternal enemies of the other group of sons. And then Diti is coming to him, give me a son who will kill Indra. And then later on we'll see Aditi, when the demigods are driven away by Bali Maharaj. She'll come to Kaśyapa. I want a son who is going to kill the demons and bring my sons back into heaven. And Kaśyapa Muni is in the middle of all this. And actually it says later on, it says that he goes away for austerities for many years. And I can imagine maybe he doesn't want to deal with all this drama. You could make a really nice, documentary on the life of Kaśyapa and how he has to deal with all these pushings and pullings of his different wives. And one group of sons were eternal enemies of the other group of sons. And he's in the middle of it all. So anyhow, Kaśyapa Muni, he's approached again by Diti. And this time Diti has, I have to get a son who's going to kill Indra. And that way I'll get some peace that, the cause of the death of my sons, Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, is Indra, and I'm going to get revenge and get another son who will kill Indra. So her tactics this time, in this section she approaches with a lot of passion and anger, but she tries different tactics later on in Bhagavatam to get her way. So she serves her husband very nicely, like extra nicely, serving him in every possible way. And Kaśyapa Muni notices, Diti's really being very nice these days. And after some time being very pleased with Diti's service, then he asks her to come, approaches her and says, you've been worshipping me so nicely, as if I'm the Supreme Lord. I'm very pleased with you. What do you want? I'll fulfill your desire. And little does he know, what's her desire? Her desire is that to get a son to kill Indra, which is also Kaśyapa's son, you know. So he's in a fix, and he's like, oh no, I've done it again. Here in third canto, Diti has, compromised Kaśyapa's principles. Again, later in the sixth canto, the same thing happens, just through a different method. And he actually speaks a series of verses where he's condemning household life, condemning women. One of the verses is Sharotpatmatsavam Vaktram Vachascha Shravanamritam Hridayam Shuradārabhyam Strinam Koveda Cheshtitam. It says that the face of a woman is like a blooming lotus in autumn, and her words are like a shower of nectar. But the heart of such a woman is sharp like a razor, and who can understand such a personality? And there's a little backstory to this verse, topical in Mayapur many years back, probably mid-90s. Bhagavatam class at that time was held in the roof of the conch building, which is now the GBC hall. Over the years in Mayapur, over the decades in Mayapur, the classes have been in different locations. Sometimes in the temple room. For many years it was in the Lotus Building conference room. For many years it was in this Sankirtan Bhavan, which is now the gift shop, the one in the middle here, not the new one. And also it was in the conch building roof for some time. So this particular verse that I just quoted from the sixth canto, spoken by Kaśyapa Muni, condemning women, His Holiness Bhakti Chara Maharaj had given class on that verse sometime mid-90s, I imagine. I was there. And he actually, sometimes the speakers do, he wanted all the devotees to learn the shloka. So he was repeating it many times, and at that time I was kind of younger and brahmachari and maybe sharper. So I also actually learned that verse that he spoke on in the class in that day, many years back, and I remembered the verse. There was another brahmachari there who I noticed also was very attentive, and last year I met him again after many years, and I reminded him, Prabhu, do you remember that class that Bhakti Chara Maharaj gave, and he made us learn this shloka? He also remembered it. So anyhow, Kaśyapa Muni, getting back to the thread, Kaśyapa Muni, he started condemning. I don't think he spoke it to Diti, but at least to himself he was saying, oh, what have I done again? This woman is so crafty. And then he decided, I can't really fulfill her desire to kill Indra. I mean, that would be a great sin and disturb the order of the universe. Indra has been given that position by the Lord. So I can't give in to her demoniac wish. And so he devised a scheme how to purify Diti. So he said, okay, if you need something, the best method is to worship the Supreme Lord. And he gave her details how to do that. That if the Lord is pleased with you, then certainly and if you follow this vow very faithfully, then you'll get a son who can kill Indra. But if you make any mistake, then the child born will be a friend of Indra's. So Diti said, that's fine. I'm committed to seeing my goal through to the end. And he gave her a 1-year prescription of a very severe vow that she had to undertake, which also included worship of the Supreme Lord. So his tactic was that if she performs these austerities and this worship of the Lord, she'll get purified. And then, she won't want to, carry out such a demoniac, idea. Her desire will be purified. So that's what she did. That's what he instructed her, and that's what she did. She followed it's called the Pumsavana ritualistic ceremony. And Indra got to know of this, and he was very concerned. Oh, my aunt is undertaking a vow to have me killed, so I need to somehow, counteract this. So he very innocently came and started serving Diti. Diti is his aunt. And she was also quite happy. Indra serving me very nicely. She didn't know that he understood the purpose of her austerities. So Indra was serving her, bringing the different items that she needed for worship, the wood for yajna, different things. But Indra's purpose was, I want to find some fault. When she makes some mistake in her worship, then I'll be able to affect her. I'll be able to, counteract her purpose. So for many days, the whole year, this vrata was going on. Towards the end of the year, as she did these austerities, she became weak and thin, and maybe her consciousness also became a little bit down. So at one point she neglected to wash, after eating she neglected to wash properly. And then she was feeling weak, so she lay down to nap, again during the sandhya. The sandhya comes back to haunt Diti again, that she neglected to wash herself properly after eating, and then she took a nap in the sandhya, which is also not allowed, not recommended. So because she was impure, then Indra was able to enter into her. By his siddhi, he became tiny and entered into her womb. And like Ashwatthama to Parikshit, he was trying to destroy the baby inside. And he cut the baby into 7 parts. But by the protection of the Lord, by the mystic arrangement, the 7 parts of the baby became separate children. And then Indra was like, no, now I have 7 of them to deal with. And he cut the 7 into 7 more. And there were 49 children now. And they all expanded again and became 7, became 7, became 49. And they were all alive. And they're all telling Indra, please don't kill us. We're your brothers. We're your brothers. Don't kill us. And then Indra realized that actually, these children are not my enemies. They're nice. They're demigods. So then Diti came to know what happened, and then when she woke up, she saw that these 49 personalities were there, and Indra was also there, very apologetically standing before her. And she wasn't upset. She had been purified actually by her worship of the Lord. Kaśyapa Muni's tactics worked, and she became purified, and she was quite pleased to see that all these, instead of having 1 child, she now had 49. And they were all very friendly with Indra. They became known as the Maruts. Indra told them, don't cry, ma roda. Rodana is crying. So from that, their name became the Maruts. And they became actually followers and demigods that were subservient to Indra. So that way Diti became purified of her misguided desire to kill Indra. Then as I mentioned earlier, Aditi, who is the mother of the demigods and considered a very saintly personality, she became very upset when her sons were driven away by Bali Maharaj. And we know how Bali Maharaj conquered the heavenly planets and drove away Indra and all the other demigods. So at that time Kaśyapa Muni was doing austerities, he wasn't present. And Aditi became very depressed that her sons were in this difficult situation. So when Kaśyapa Muni returned, he could see that things are not right in the ashram. Aditi is not happy, and he questioned her, what's the matter, what happened? So she said, my sons, the demigods, have been driven away, and I want a son who's going to kill the demons and bring back my sons to the heavenly abode. And Kaśyapa Muni, again, he's in this fix, this is not exactly the most pure desire. And he spoke a verse that, just see Maya, the power of the illusory energy, that people are so attached to their children. Although if you look from an eternal perspective, we have so many relationships in this world. Family relationships are very temporary, maximum 1 lifetime. The example is given in Shastra, like the straws floating in the Ganga. They come together, they may whirl around for a little bit, and then they'll be separated. So I said, anyway, okay. So he gave a prescription to worship the Lord to Aditi, just like similar that he gave to Diti. But Aditi got only 12-day vrata that she had to perform. And this is called the Payo vrata, where for 12 days she had to drink just milk and worship the Lord. And there's a lot of detail given how she should worship the Lord with abhishek, with different upacharas, performance of yajna, kirtana, some very nice prayers that she should chant to please the Lord. Diti also had prayers to chant. In fact, one of the prayers we teach in our mantra class in Mayapur Academy that Srila Prabhupada said, this prayer is very important in the worship of the Lord. Om Namo Bhagavate Mahapurushaya Mahanubhavaya Mahavibhutipataye Saha Mahavibhutibir Balim Upaharamiti. So many nice prayers like this that Diti taught, Kaśyapa taught to both Diti and Aditi. And he said you should bathe the Lord, dress him, worship him, offer very nice bhoga, please all the priests who are performing the yajna, feed everyone, feed the brahmanas, feed the chandalas, feed everybody, prasadam. But you yourself have to fast, taking milk for 12 days, sleeping on the floor, doing different austerities like that. Charity, performance of japa, he told her to chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Kirtan, Tapasya, so different things he told Aditi to do. And the result of that was that after 12 days, the Lord appeared to her. And that leads up to the appearance of Lord Vamana. So Kaśyapa Muni has, so many roles to play. He purified Diti, and he was the father of Lord Vamana. And so it's very interesting that he's the same father of Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, and later on he becomes the father of Lord Vamana. And his wife Aditi, she's the mother of Vamana, where his other wife Diti is the mother of Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu. So it all shows how the consciousness of the parents affects so much the child, even before coming to that, what kind of child will be attracted to that family. So you can say that Vamana is the brother of Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, the half-brother and the cousin, the same father, but the circumstances were so much different. Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha were born out of the modes of passion and ignorance, and Lord Vamana appeared from the purified consciousness of Kaśyapa Muni and Aditi. And actually in the 10th canto, 3rd chapter, when Krishna appears to Vasudeva and Devaki, he tells them that previously also I was your child. You were Vrishni and Sutapa, and you performed austerities for thousands of years to have a child like me. So I appeared to you, and I became your child, Vrishni Garbha. Then in another yuga, you were Kaśyapa and Aditi, and you performed austerities to have me as your child. I became Vamana, and now also you are Vasudeva and Devaki, and here I am again as Krishna. So Kaśyapa Muni, although in the previous chapter we see him as, he did some mistakes also. A few times Prabhupada says, he could have stopped his wife, he should have been more strong himself. But later on we see he becomes the father of Krishna. So it's good not to pass judgment on these personalities too quickly, because Kaśyapa Muni is, father of Vamana. In his next life, he becomes Vasudeva. So sometimes it's hard to understand the activities of the great personalities like Kaśyapa Muni. Tejiyasam no doshayat. Great personalities are not considered contaminated, even if they do things which externally appear incorrect. Sometimes we're very quick to judge each other, to judge our peers, to judge society, to judge, even these great shastric personalities. We should be very cautious about judging. So, as I mentioned in the beginning, this samskara aspect is very close to me, because I've been teaching the samskaras, how to perform them for many years in Mayapur Academy. And I was waiting to see if any speaker was going to actually get into the details of Garbhadhana-samskara. Because Prabhupada mentions it several times in the previous chapter. And apart from, actually one brahmachari, I think Venugopal Prabhu, he mentioned that Prabhupada said, Prabhupada's prescription for Garbhadhana-samskara was, what was it? Anyone know? Chanting of 50 rounds. So that, I believe most devotees in ISKCON are well aware of. Before conceiving a child, the husband, wife, both of them should chant 50 rounds each, and then conceive the child. So that's like a baseline, minimum, simplest performance of Garbhadhana-samskara. But there are actually some other important aspects to be considered. And thankfully, by the grace of Srila Gopal Bhatta Goswami, we have a Gaudiya Vaishnava method of performing Garbhadhana-samskara. And this book, which is known as Satkriya Saradipika, is printed and available here in Mayapur, and it gives all the details of how to perform all the samskaras, including Garbhadhana-samskara. So I just wanted to elaborate a little bit on that, because sometimes when devotees hear the word samskara, they immediately get panicked. Oh no, it means some big ritual, yajna, inviting lots of people and a lot of expense and headache and karmakanda, and many misconceptions may be there. But actually our acharyas, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, one of the 6 Goswamis, he has given us a very simple and effective method of performing Garbhadhana-samskara. Some of the samskaras, yes, they are complicated, especially vivaha-samskara. That could be over 3 days. There are multiple yajnas, so many rituals. But the Garbhadhana-samskara, it might surprise you to know that it's really just 8 mantras one has to chant for Garbhadhana-samskara. And I wanted to actually go over them briefly with all of you. So basically, in this book, there's really just 2 pages of description of how to perform Garbhadhana-samskara. So in the morning of the day, the husband and wife should both do their sadhana, do their worship. There are some details given here. And then the main part, chant Mangalachara and worship the deity in the house. If you don't have full puja, you come to the temple, come to the morning program to purify yourself first thing in the morning. Of course, you have to do 50 rounds, so that takes maybe 8 hours of japa. So that takes a major chunk of your day. You have to plan it accordingly. You can't be going to work that day. You also have to have an auspicious time from an astrologer according to the menstrual cycle of the wife, which will be the most effective day to perform that samskara to give maximum chance of pregnancy. Because we are not like the Lord. One of the Lord's names is Amoga Virya. Means he doesn't discharge his semen for no result. Basically, that's what it means. When the Lord performs intercourse, like we know Krishna in Dwarka, he had 10 sons from each queen. Sometimes it may take us, ordinary living entities, many months or years of trying to actually conceive a child. Like Kaśyapa Muni also. Immediately, he had two sons, not just one. These people are powerful. They have a lot of potency. So you have your 50 rounds to do, and then in the evening, basically there are 5 mantras to be chanted, and you offer arghya. I brought a couple of props with me. I borrowed from the pujari room a conch shell. So you put the water and auspicious items in the conch, just like we do arati. So you offer arghya to the deity in your house with these 5 mantras. And you'll be interested to know what these 5 mantras are. We can chant them together. So they're very simple. You don't even need to have the board. So I'll chant, and you can all follow after me. Om Jagannatha Mahabaho Sarvopadravanashana Nava Pushpotsave Mergyam Grihana Jagadishvara. So for each mantra, we'll be offering the arghya and then pouring the water out, chanting Etadarghyam Om Shri Vishnave Namaha. So this arghyam is for the Lord Vishnu. So this is just names of the Lord: Jagannath, Mahabahu, Sarva Upadravanashana, who destroys all disturbances. The next one is Narayana Hare Rama Govinda Garudadhvaja. And the second line is the same: Grihana Parameshvara Om Dina Bandho Kripa Sindho Paramananda Madhava Nava Pushpotsave Mergyam Grihana Madhusudana. So it's a different name, 5 different names of the Lord in each mantra. Vishvatmane Vishvabandho Vishvesva Vishvalochana Nava Pushpotsave Mergyam Grihana Shama Sundara Chidananda Rishikesha Bhakta Vashya Janardana Nava Pushpotsave Mergyam Grihana Kamalapate. So this is the 5 mantras. So each time you offer the water, pour it out, fill up again 5 times with each mantra once. So just names of the Lord and offering the flowers and water. Then there are 2 more mantras to be chanted, 3 more mantras rather, and I'll read the translation. May Vishnu prepare the yoni, may Achyuta fashion the forms, may Hari carry out the fertilization, may Jagadish present the child to you. Garbhodashai Vishnu, please bestow the child. Nara Narayana, bedecked with lotus garlands, please give her the child. O virtuous wife, bear a long-living son, a devotee of Krishna. So that's it for Garbhadhana-samskara, and after that, husband and wife will unite. So it's very important, I think, for devotees to be aware of the simplicity of this samskara. Now, the 50 rounds, blessings of the spiritual master, auspicious time, consult an astrologer for that, and then have very good sadhana that day, chant your 50 rounds, and this 5 mantras with arghya and 3 more mantras. And really that's it. So, because it's so simple, I'm very much encouraged to spread this information to the devotees, especially to the grihastas, that they can actually feel very confident that I'm following the recommendation of our acharyas. And if I do that, then if the Lord is pleased, we should be able to expect to have a very nice Krishna-conscious child. Someone who's already been practicing Krishna consciousness in the previous life, and they need somewhere to take birth to continue to perfect themselves. Obviously, they're not pure devotees. You know, sometimes when you have a nice little devotee baby with tilak, and people say, oh, pure devotee, pure devotee. But that's a very loose comment, because if they're really pure devotee, they wouldn't have taken birth, right? There's some impurity was there, therefore they come to continue their devotional practice in this life. But they're not like Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, who are going to terrorize the universe, or terrorize the community, or terrorize your own family. If you perform the samskara, you can be very confident of having a sattvic child who will be actually an impetus to increase your own Krishna consciousness. We see that when, devotees have a child, they come to the temple more often. They want the child to be, exposed and given the maximum dose of Krishna consciousness when they're young and when you can still control them. So I don't want to go over time, but this is a brief introduction to Garbhadhana-samskara, because it's very topical to this chapter and to this part of Srimad Bhagavatam, and very relevant to the devotee community. In the 70s, 60s, we had mostly sannyasis and brahmacharis, so this knowledge wasn't so relevant or prevalent either. But now, we see majority of our community are grihastas with children. So if they want to have nice children, then we should follow our acharya's recommendation. Srila Prabhupada talks about Garbhadhana-samskara many, many times, and Srila Gopal Bhatta Goswami has given us the exact procedure how to perform that. And this book is available, and it's, as I said, very simple and very effective. So I thank you all for your attention, and if there's any question or comment, we have 2 minutes.
Hare Krishna. I'm confused by this comment that, from purport, devotees are demigods and atheists are demons. I always understood that demons are little bit, they have different bodies, like Jai and Vijay, they could choose life of a life of a human, or body of human, or body of demon. So I'm just wondering, according to this purport, it seems that the difference is only in mentality, but the bodies are the same. So can you say something about this?
Yeah, it's interesting, because generally we see, like in the Amritsar, the Kathas and all, the demons are all dark, and sometimes they have horns, and that's kind of what our impression might be. Rakshasas, yes, Rakshasas are a little bit different race, and they are a bit more fierce-looking. But I don't think there's much difference between the sons of Diti and the sons of Aditi, at least physically. It's more mentality, which creates the segregation, you could say, the difference between the demigods and the devotees, the demigods and the demons. So I'm not sure if Prabhupada gives much detail about that, but it is definitely more based on consciousness. Just like Prahlad was born in the family of the demons, but he was a great Vaishnava. I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on that. They have the same father, and even their mothers are sisters, so they have the same grandfathers. So I don't think that physically there's much distinction between the bodies of the asuras and the suras.
I have heard that Ravana was very attractive to look at.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know. So that's why he used to, attract many women, somehow. So, like, I don't think there'll be much difference.
Yeah. And these, even Hiranyakashipu, and they had power, they had Shakti, and they were also very Shastric. They knew the Shastra. You see Hiranyakashipu's preaching to a family when Hiranyaksha is killed, or you see Kamsa's preaching to Devaki and Vasudev after Durga appeared. Then Kamsa repented, killing all the babies, and he starts preaching to them, we're not this body, everything's ordained by fate. So the demons, they knew philosophy, and they weren't just like, covered in tamagun and, really gross externally. But their consciousness, their goal was to gratify their senses. So that's really, it's a division of mentality more than physically. Like Diti is the mother of the demons, that's why they're called daityas. So her consciousness was not as purified as Aditi, and Aditi's children are the demigods. So I don't think there's too much racial discrimination in that sense, as far as the body goes. Anything else?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for the nice class. Do you know how long a sandhya lasts? Is there a specific time, or is it like a Ekadashi? It varies?
Yeah, I'm sure somewhere there will be some description of that. I don't know offhand. How long is the sandhya exactly? So we have the morning sandhya, we have the noon sandhya, the evening sandhya. And each of those times we're supposed to engage in spiritual activities, especially chanting Gayatri. Does anyone know exactly the time frame for a sandhya? I'm not sure. Probably have to look it up. 48 minutes? Yeah, it's possible. I'm not sure. I probably have to do some research on that.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu, for stressing the importance of Garbhadhana-samskara, because this is what will bring good progeny to our movement, and definitely it needs to be more well known and advertised. One point I wanted to stress on a little bit more is one must seek the permission of the spiritual master before one decides to have a child.
Yep.
Because only if the spiritual master says, yes, you're ready, then we go for it. Otherwise, we desist from that. Just wanted to...
Yeah, I did mention that, and it's actually mentioned in 7th canto of Bhagavatam, that there's no difference between the grihastha and the sannyasi. All the rules are the same for both ashrams, but the only difference is that the grihastha is allowed to, with the permission of the spiritual master, engage in intercourse for the purpose of having Krishna conscious children. So there's actually a shloka like that in the 7th canto, very clear cut. It's very unambiguous instruction given there. So, yeah, that is actually prescription of the Shastra, and it also kind of harkens back to an era where the relationship between the spiritual master and disciple was very close, and the spiritual master will be able to judge, is the couple actually ready for a child? It's such a big responsibility. They should be even financially stable, the health should be good. There are so many other considerations. Their relationship between husband and wife should be very, positive. They shouldn't be like fighting with each other and thinking, if I have a child, then, we'll come together. That doesn't work. So the spiritual master will judge these things and then accordingly give his permission. So, in modern day ISKCON, that some spiritual masters have thousands of disciples. They may not be able to give that kind of personal attention, but then, therefore, we should have Siksha Gurus or other senior devotees who guide us and can give that, that guidance and that permission for the grihastha who wants to start expanding the family. So it's a very important consideration. Okay, thank you. We're over time. Kanantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Śrīla Prabhupada ki, Gaur Premanandi.